Today is very auspicious day, appearance of two pure devotees. So we just now sang this song of Srila Bhakti Thakur. I want to read the translation. O Hari, when will I recognize who is a Vaishnava? The lotus feet of the Vaishnava are a mine of all auspiciousness. I will become maddened by holding them within my heart. The lotus feet of Vaishnavas. The worshipful Vaishnava is always transcendental, without faults, and full of bliss. He has deep affection for Krishna's name, he is indifferent to mundane affairs, and he melts with compassion for the living beings. The Vaishnava is free from false ego, expert in bhajan, and detached from sense objects. He is free of duplicity internally and externally, and he is filled with loving attachment to the Lord's eternal pastimes. There are three types of Vaishnavas, Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam, and they are distinguished by their characteristics. I have heard from authorities that one should give affection to the Kanishta Vaishnava, offer respectful obeisances to the Madhyam Vaishnava, and fully serve the Uttam Vaishnava. When I recognize Vaishnavas according to their qualifications, and thus duly honor them, I shall certainly receive their mercy, which is the source of all success. Bhakti-Vinod never speaks to those who, out of envy, criticize the ever-pure character of Vaishnavas. Instead, he always remains silent, will not speak to them, means ignoring them, not associating with such persons. So today is the appearance day of Ramanujacharya. You will find in Padma Purana, Sampradaya Bhihina Jai Mantrasta Nishpalamata, that verse, that if someone does not receive mantra from bona fide preceptorial channel, then chanting that mantra will be fruitless, even if you chant for many days of Brahma, many kalpas, means very long time. You will not get devotion to Krishna. Fruitless. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, there will be 4 sanctifying Vaishnava Sampradayas, Brahma, Rudra, Sanak, and Shri. 4 sanctifying bona fide Sampradaya, coming from Brahma, from Shiva, from Lakshmi, and from 4 Kumaras. Sampradaya does not mean sect or sectarianism, as some understand. Sampradaya means Samyak, Pragyan, Data, or Daine, means where the divine knowledge is completely retained and given. That is Sampradaya. Means one who realizes Supreme Lord, he has that pure knowledge of him, so he can impart that to disciple, and when disciple will realize, he can impart that to others like that. So Shri Lakshmi Devi, she accepted Ramanujacharya as main Acharya in that preceptorial channel. He appeared in South India near Madras, and Brahmin and interested in spiritual affairs from young. And I'm telling in short because then also Srila Maharaj Gosvami is there. We are hearing more details about Ramanuja on his disappearance day. Today only to remember main points. He was studying Shastra from one Mayavadi, at first Yadav Prakash. Actually, Ramanuja is avatar of Lakshman from Ram Lila, younger brother of Ram. That is Ramanuj, means younger brother. Lakshman. He was sent by Supreme Lord because Mayavat was spread so much. So he was hearing, and on 2 occasions it happened that Ramanuja was very sorry to hear what kind of explanation his guru is giving, disrespectful. Then he explained to him what is the proper meaning, because he spoke from realization. He said, no, the eyes of Supreme Lord are lotus-like eyes, and he has all auspicious eternal qualities, like that he was explaining. So Yadav Prakash then even plotted to kill him, seeing him as a threat to his own school. But Ramanuja was saved, and he also met. Then ultimately Yadav Prakash, his guru, also became disciple of Ramanuja. And Ramanuja went to North India to get that ancient commentary of Vedanta Sutra, Bodhaya Vritti, where Mayavadis in Kashmir, in Sharada Pit, there one Devi, Sharada Devi, Saraswati, they were holding that, not giving to anyone, because that was proper theistic explanation of Vedanta. But somehow by Sharada Devi's grace, Ramanuja and his disciple, they got it and they ran away quickly. And Mayavadis, they went after them and they were chasing them for 1 month. And during the night time, Quresh used to read that Bodhaya Vritti, and he had such memory that once he read something, he would remember it. So after 1 month, he completed whole Vedanta Sutra with commentary, and then they were not running away. Then Mayavadis, they took that scripture, but already Quresh knew everything. So Ramanuja wrote that Sri Bhasya, his commentary on Vedanta Sutra. He is refuting all Mayavat philosophy and establishing pure devotion, means eternal devotion. Object of worship is eternal, worshipper is eternal, worship is eternal. Tad Vishnu Paramampada Sada Pashanti Surya Dviva Chakshuratatam. That. And he was preaching all over India, defeating everyone, and then he also got the grace of Yamunacharya. He was prominent Acharya in Sri Sampradaya. Yamunacharya already just disappeared. Then Ramanuja came there and he could understand what is the desire of Yamunacharya. So he spoke that I will fulfill those desires, and everyone understood because those hands were opening, means fingers were opening on the hand of Yamunacharya. They understood, so they accepted him as next Acharya because he had connection with Gurudev. So he was preaching, and once Quresh, also his disciple, went instead of him to some place because there was danger, and they took out his eyes. But Ramanuja then brought back his eyes by praying to Supreme Lord, Narayan, and he got divine eyes. And Ramanuja also rescued that person who was so attached to his wife's beauty. He showed him the transcendental beauty of Supreme Lord, Diti. Then both became devotees. And one time the sannyasis and brahmacharis were thinking why Ramanuja is giving so much importance to that household couple disciples. So you know that Lila, sannyasis and brahmacharis, they were fighting for that dhoti, but this household couple, they were ready to offer their everything for the service of Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavan, that gold and everything. And another is that they went to that poor disciple. He was begging Bharadadwaja or something, and his wife was there. So how she will serve Gurudev and Vaishnavas? So she went to that merchant and requested him, I want to take that some articles and I will be with you. Then she made a big feast. And then Ramanuja said, you, the one who sponsored this festival, you give some of this Narayan Prasad. So husband also was not disturbed. He said, you never looked at him. He could never look at you. But for the sake of service of Guru and Vaishnavas, you did this. So I don't think there is any person in this world who can touch you. You go. So she went and she gave prasad to that merchant and also Uchishta prasad from Ramanuja, and that person's heart changed. Then he regretted his offense and he came there, he met Ramanuja, also he became disciple of Ramanuja, and for his whole life he was serving that couple as senior god brothers. Ramanuja's philosophy is Vishishta Advaita Vad, means oneness but with specialities. There is a Brahman who has attributes. Jiva in this world, they are attributes of Brahman. So in that way he explained. We also heard he came to Navadip on the order of Jagannath Dev, and he came to know about Gauranga Mahaprabhu and got darshan. Mahaprabhu blessed him. You preach about Dasya Bhakti in South India and all over India, but inside you worship me secretly. Later on, you will also take birth when I appear, we heard. So that is why our Prabhupada also installed his deity in Mayapur Chaitanya Math. Our Parangurudev installed it in Puri, our Math, because from Puri, it is in Padma Puran, that from Puri, Krishna Bhakti will spread all over the world. The essence of all four Sampradayas will spread all over the world. So he installed there, and in our Calcutta Math, you will see there also 4 Vaishnavacharyas are there. So I am remembering that picture and also deity in Mayapur and Puri. I am bowing down to Ramanujacharya and praying for his causeless mercy for pure devotion to Supreme Lord. And today is also the appearance day of one of prominent disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, Srila Bhakti Hridoy Goswami Maharaj. I will read. Born in 1901 in an aristocratic Orthodox Brahmana family of Dhaka district, that is in Bangladesh. That time it was India, then it separated. From childhood, Sri Narendranath Mukhopadhyay cherished a special feeling for Krishna. He was one of the 10 sons, the youngest one. After receiving primary education, he was sent for further study to far-off Ranchi, where he soon became fluent in Hindi and English. Upon reading booklets describing the lives of the Vaishnava boy saints Dhruva and Prahlad, Naren resolved to flee to Puri to search out Krishna. But while changing trains, he was apprehended by a police inspector who had been alerted by Naren's family. They were searching for him because he escaped, but they caught him. Naren then returned to school and went on to earn a BA degree in English from Patna University. Yet he remained dissatisfied in worldly pursuits and was earnestly praying to Bhagavan to help him find a genuine guru. Following a well-wisher's recommendation, one day in 1924, Naren visited Madhva Gauriya Math in Dhaka, established by Prabhupada. Seeing a photo of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur therein, he immediately recognized him as his eternal Guru, and upon inquiry learned from the Matavasis that this divine personality resided in Calcutta. At that time, Naren's father was deathly sick, and the doctor had advised that the only hope to save his life was a medicine available exclusively in Calcutta. Means Krishna made such arrangement that this happened. Accordingly, Naren was sent to Calcutta to get that medicine. Yet he never returned with the medicine. He sent another one person, Srila Maharaj told, he sent another one person to take that medicine to his father, but he stayed in Calcutta. He instead went to Sri Gauriya Math, that is Ultadangi Road, first Gauriya Math, Bhakti Vinodasam, and on being informed that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would soon return from Mayapur, requested to stay. On the morning when Naren arrived at the mat, he was still fasting from the previous day, it having been Ekadashi, and since no one offered him food, he continued to fast. After 2 days without eating, he was set down to honor prasad on the floor, unwashed after the initiated devotees had finished partaking. In these first few days at the mat, Naren encountered many such practices that were unthinkable in the pure Brahminical culture he was raised in, but he overlooked them while eagerly waiting to meet his Gurudev. You cannot take prasad on that place where it is not clean and this thing, but he understood the importance of this, that he has to meet Prabhupada. Also, yes, later on in that. When Srila Saraswati Thakur arrived, he called this new prospect to his room and impressed upon him the knowledge that Naren already instinctively sensed, that worldly existence and bodily relationships are all transitory, means temporary, and the real purpose of life is to seek out Krishna. After speaking to him alone for an hour, Srila Saraswati Thakur asked him to write a summary of all that he had heard. Naren soon returned with an essay titled Atmiya Ke, who is a kinsman. Srila Bharati Maharaj there explained that it was like a kind of test by Prabhupada to see about his disciple. So he ordered him, what you heard now you write. So he wrote Atmiya Ke, means who is really ours, relative. But he wrote it in that actual our relation is with Krishna and with his personal associates. They are our own relatives, not bodily this. In this point he wrote whole essay on first, after once hearing Harikatha. Upon reading which Srila Saraswati Thakur called Sundarananda Prabhu, he was editor of Gauriya magazine, and told him to publish it in the text issue of the Gauriya. He was not initiated, nothing, only came one time. But Prabhupada was so satisfied, he said, you have to publish in magazine. Sundarananda Prabhu protested that the article was composed in modern Bengali. You have two Bengali, modern and Sadhu Bhasa, that old one. So generally all scriptures, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writing all this, they're in that old Bengali. But he was writing in modern. Quite different from the in-house style of Gauriya, and that anyway the upcoming condition had already been laid out. Already all articles are there. Yet Srila Saraswati Thakur overrode his objections and told him to withdraw any other article to accommodate this one. You can put out some other article, but you put this one inside. He was so satisfied. Soon, preaching parties headed by the sannyasis returned to the mat, and in the presence of all, Srila Saraswati Thakur gave Narendranath an extraordinary order. Come every morning and sit in my room. Take prasad at midday and return in the afternoon. Apart from the time needed for eating, resting, and other such basic requirements, spend all day with me hearing Harikatha. You have no other service or engagement. You see, this is his seva, to hear Harikatha all the time. I remembered when I read once Srila Bhakti Puri Maharaj was there in Slovenia. So I was hearing attentively, sitting just in front of him, hearing attentively his Harikatha. Then another, his disciple, he was pushing me that I should put one pillow under the feet of Puri Maharaj. But I did not pay attention to him. I was hearing Harikatha very attentively. I didn't feel necessary that pillow should be there like that. But that devotee was keeping pinching me. No, you have to. Then ultimately I took that pillow and I tried to squeeze in there under his feet, but Puri Maharaj became very angry on me. He said, why you are doing this? You have to hear Harikatha. Why you are? Then I did not say loudly, but I had in my mind, yes, that is also my desire. I wanted to hear Harikatha that way. So Puri Maharaj that time gave clearly that this is what is important for me, that I have to hear Harikatha. Then Brajendranandan Prabhu came and he managed that like this. So here also Prabhupada told, you eat, sleep, okay, but all other time you come and hear Harikatha. That is your seva, no other seva. Next morning, Naren asked Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada, everyone who lives here wears tulsi neck beads. May I also? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati called Sajjan Maharaj and had him arrange neck beads for Naren. The following day, Naren asked Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada, everyone who lives here wears a red cloth. Means brahmachari there. May I also? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati agreed, although red cloth was awarded only to tried and tested brahmacharis. Naren also had his head shaved, keeping a shika, and applied tilak markings on his forehead and body. That very afternoon, his second brother came looking for him. Taking his guru's permission, Naren went to meet his brother, who simply by seeing him confirmed his fear that Naren had devalued their lineage by entering the, in brackets, the despicable Vaishnava cult, because they were high-class Brahmin family, so they felt he will lose that if he will with these Vaishnavas. So, and without giving him a chance to say anything, left with tears in his eyes and rancor in his heart. So he left because he saw he's already he is lost. So he just left. The very next day, This was also some kind of test. The very next day, less than a month since first coming to the mat, Narendranath was initiated as Sri Nanda Sunu Brahmachari. Harinam and Diksha both he got. Soon thereafter, Nanda Sunu Prabhu was sent with a traveling party for his first outing and demonstrated such mettle and enterprise that for the next trip he was appointed the Pracharak, lead preacher, in a new group. Within a few months of whirlwind touring, he preached from one side of Bengal to the other, acquiring a reputation for lectures in both Bengali and English that were both philosophically profound and captivatingly delivered with masterly command of language. In September 1925, slightly over a year since joining the mat, Nanda Sunu Prabhu was awarded sannyas with the title Tridandi Swami Srimad Bhakti Hridoy Bon Maharaj, and soon proved himself competent in a variety of important services. You see, after 1 year. Later I will tell how this is possible. Before long, Srimad Bon Maharaj took the Bhakti Shastri examination, and although several reputed and experienced devotees were among those sitting for the test, he achieved top distinction. One of his specialties was inviting prominent people to meet Srila Saraswati Thakur, one of whom was Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, soon to gain worldwide fame as a philosopher and later to become President of India. Our Parangurudev also met him. You can see his photo in our Calcutta Matin library, together with Parangurudev. Radhakrishnan, President of India at that time, who visited his first tenure as Professor of Philosophy at Calcutta University. A typical appreciation of Srimad Bon Maharaj appeared in a Bombay newspaper. So when he was preaching in Bombay, then report was given in newspaper. So this is what they wrote. His Holiness Tridandi Swami Bhakti Hridoy Bon Maharaj of Gauriya Math, Calcutta, delivered a highly cultured lecture on the eternal and universal religion of all souls, in lucid English, before a big and educated audience at the Shrota Smarta Dharma Pratishtapak Vidvat Parishat at Madhvabag, one assembly or some institution, something. The depth of knowledge and way of exposition of His Holiness were so appealing and enrapturing. The thundering yet sweet voice was so very attractive that the audience was kept spellbound, so to say, inasmuch as the whole spacious compound of the Parishat was filled in a minute and not an inch was left vacant. Full hall. It is said that the right light comes from the east, and we should say this of our Swamiji, who comes from the eastern corner of India to the western extremity, means Bangladesh is in east and Bombay is west. The learned circles, why only the learned circles? The whole of Bombay, and not only Bombay, but India and the entire world, should boast of such a spiritual giant, a luminary of the spiritual firmament, who will surely enrich and accelerate the spiritual atmosphere of the present day. The Bombay public heartily welcomes His Holiness. This they wrote in newspaper. Being fluent in English, lucid in presenting philosophy, and an appealing and fruitful preacher to the educated class, Srimad Bon Maharaj was an obvious choice to head the Gauriya Math's trust into South India. Once also, when I was in Calcutta, I found his translation of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, first part, in our library. So I took it And I showed to Gurudev and I asked him, may I read? Then Gurudev was reading which book is this, and he only read the author, Srila Bhakti Hridoy. Yes, you can read. He is my Shiksha Guru, and his English is very good. His English is very good. He wanted me to stay there in his university in Vrindavan, but I was with my Gurudev that time, engaged, but his English is very good. Then I said, yes, English, this is okay, but whether I am eligible to, I asked Gurudev, whether I am eligible to read this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Then Gurudev did not say, but just by gesture, he, like, why I'm asking this? Like, of course, like in this booth, he showed, yes. So that English, he's really is, you can find his recordings also in English on YouTube. So, because he was so expert and he was preaching, first he started this preaching in universities in India. That was new style, unprecedented. Before no one did, only in like Dharma Sabhas and in temples and like this. He started in universities. So then Prabhupada also entrusted him to go to South India. Who were in the group? Srila Bhakti Hridoy Bongosai Maharaj, our Parangurudev, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. That time still brahmachari. Two brahmacharis, one sannyasi. And they were working there for that madras. So here, he was instrumental in quickly gaining a foothold there and acquiring land for the Madras Gauriya Math, of which he was appointed Mat Rakshak, means temple president. Bon Maharaj led the team that discovered the place of Lord Chaitanya's discussions with Sri Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari, played a key role in the major theistic exhibitions held in Mayapur and Calcutta by organizing and designing the displays, and also in Kurukshetra, headed the advance party for the Brajamandal Parikrama, was the first editor of the Hindi Bhagavata magazine, and also was an excellent cook. Yes. So they were together. And Bon Maharaj very much appreciated Sridhar Maharaj, and he requested Prabhupada, you have to give him sannyas. He's a very good canvasser, introducing me everywhere and canvassing. He's very good, but he can speak Harikatha also very nice, so I requested to give him sannyas. So Prabhupada then gave, and Prabhupada referred to this preaching party, Bon Maharaj, Parangurudev and Sridhar Maharaj, that is my party, my preaching party. There were many preaching parties, different sannyasis like this, but he referred, that is my. In 1933, his dynamism and versatility earned Swami Bon, as he was often called, the opportunity to pioneer activities in the West. While overseas, he published diaries entitled My First Year in England and My Second Year in England. These two books also I found in our Calcutta Math, in library, in English there, his lectures in English. Because he was sent by Srila Bhakti Pradip Tirtha Maharaj and one brahmachari, they were sent first to London, Germany. Recording the dates on which he gave lectures, the names of eminent men he had met, and photos of scenes such as himself playing a harmonium and Srimad Tirtha Maharaj trying to feed some pigeons. In 2016, when his Sevak, 35 years he was in his Sevak, Srila Gopalananda Bon Maharaj, now he's still present, he's living, he's his successor. I had this good fortune to be with him for 1 month. So together with him and Rishinga Maharaj from Vienna, we went to different places in Europe. So in Vienna, we went to see that hall where Srila Bon Maharaj in 30s, he was speaking Harikatha. We found. And in Berlin, when we were in Berlin, there also we found that place where Bon Maharaj was speaking Harikatha. These two places we came to visit. So here now, we should not misunderstand. Here now, Prabhupada is giving teaching through Bon Maharaj. Like we got teaching from Gadadhar Pandit or through other associates of Mahaprabhu, some teaching we get. So here, yet in neither book was there even a single mention of Srila Saraswati Thakur, who expressed anger at the use of Maya in the diary's titles, the author having made himself the subject of the books. It is not that Prabhupada has false ego and he was angry why he did not mention me. Not that, but he wanted to give teaching that one should not preach thinking, I am preaching and it is all my, like I am doing. We can do service by the grace of Gurudev. So we should not have that independent mood. And this teaching he gave. Also, I heard from Gurudev that he heard directly from Srila Bon Maharaj and also other disciples of Prabhupada that when Prabhupada was here, we had such strength, we could go anywhere and we were victorious everywhere. But after Prabhupada disappeared, we felt we have no strength. They understood it was all by Prabhupada's grace. Bhakti Hridoy Bon Maharaj also, he told him, I heard from Gurudev. But those sincere disciples who will submit to Gurudev, then they will again get that strength. But they have to realize this. So this teaching Prabhupada wanted to give, that this should not be the mood. It is my preaching. I did that. No, Gurudev did. We can only be instrumental. His strength is there. If we become proud, then we lose. So, yes. Shortly before the passing of his Guru Maharaj, again we are getting some teaching here. Shortly before the passing of his Guru Maharaj, Bon Maharaj sent him a letter presaging various problems that the institution would face in the future, many of which manifested immediately after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disappearance. He told him this will happen if we don't change some these policies, and he I read there, he said that there will be like a quarrel, and he also said about the some are not keeping up to the standard. So all this he wrote to Prabhupada, but Prabhupada outwardly he was very angry on him. So Prabhupada became angry and he did not allow him to come. Only after his disappearance. Yes, here. So then, after the disappearance of Prabhupada, Srila means what Srila Bon Goswami Maharaj foretold before, that happened after. But that was all Lila to manifest more acharyas. So, Srila Bhakti Hridoy Bon Goswami Maharaj voted for Srila Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, but then Ananta Vasudev was selected. And when there was this also in court fighting. Then he felt very much disturbed and he went to live in Kashi, Varanasi. So there he was living simple, doing bhajan and having some lectures with local some scholars and like they were hearing. So one day when he was on Ganga there in Varanasi doing bhajan, then he suddenly got darshan of Shiva. He came down on a lotus coming down on Ganga, and that lotus opened and Shiva, very effulgent, came out and told him, now you already fulfilled your stay in Varanasi. It is accomplished, so now it is the time that you should go to Vrindavan. Then Bon Maharaj got this vision and this blessing, so immediately he decided that I will go to Vrindavan. But others who were there listening his Harikatha, they were very sad. No, you cannot leave us, and you did not finish that chapter yet, like this. So somehow then the others, they could accept, but except one. One said, no, you have to see your horoscope, whether this is really right for you or not, or this. He did not let him go. So then Bon Maharaj said, already my father made a horoscope for me, and because he was the Brahmin astrologer. So here I'm reading from his own book of Srila Bhakti Hridoy Gosvami Maharaj. That still that person was pressing him so much. No, you have to go with me to that like Brigu office. There is Brigu Muni, you will find in Puranic Charitavali. At the beginning of creation, he already made 100,000 calculations, different like samples for different dates. So this person was pressing Bon Maharaj, you have to go with me and see whether your horoscope was also calculated by Brigu Muni. So you have to go with me. So they went there, and that person found, yes, your date is there. So then Bon Maharaj was curious, and then that person started to explain to him. So I'm reading from his own book now. First, that astrologer said, this horoscope must be of a great soul. One second, I have to find. So then, I'm in short, then that horoscope whatever had happened in my, when he was reading his horoscope, whatever had happened in my life thus far was mentioned in this horoscope. And all of it was true to the letter. Fully true. I was astonished to find that whatever had happened in my life, from my birth in a Brahmin family, my appearance, my study of politics and the scriptures, my life as a brahmachari as a boy, the ages at which I had been afflicted with different illnesses. This was also mentioned there. My age, when my birthplace was inundated by the river, this natural catastrophe in his life also was mentioned there. All these things. My age, when I renounced my home and cut the golden necklace of attachment to mother, father, brothers, and sister, my age at my initiation, the time when I toured the holy places of India in the company of sadhus, my age when I went abroad to teach Dharma, all were faultlessly written in the Brigu's manuscript. Everything was there, mentioned. Up till his 40 years, that time he was 40 years, 43, so everything was written there. So all the incidents of the past and present of my life were correctly narrated. Yes, my revered father had calculated my birth horoscope, but how could the details of that end up with a poor Brahmin in a small lane in Kashi? The details of the horoscope I had seen were written in old manuscript. Yes, how could my birth chart lead to this particular horoscope? The horoscope also mentioned that in my previous life, I had lived in the house of my preceptor and taken to the life of the ascetic. Already he was ascetic in previous life. And this gave me faith and increased my wonder. Only a few days back had I told about my belief in an ascetic life in my previous life. He felt, already in previous life I was ascetic. I felt. This he told before, and this was confirmed now in his horoscope. But a more heart-wrenching matter was that according to the horoscope, while I was living in the house of my preceptor, means Guru, in my previous life, I had once had some difference of opinion with him. I had an argument with him and insulted him, and as a bitter result of this great sin, I fell down and again took birth on earth. Although I could have ignored all other incidents narrated, this very serious offense that I had committed violently thrust open the closed door of my heart. There is no doubt about this grave offense in my previous life, because in this life also I have inflicted enormous pain on the soft heart of my most revered preceptor, the very last year before his disappearance from this world, with that letter which I just read before. I lodged a protest at his feet against the inner condition of the mission that he had founded, its deceitful policies, the sinful behavior of some members of the mat, the lack of strictness in rooting out the ugly contest among some members to gain profit, fame, and adoration, and the injurious writings and doctrines of some of the administrators of the mission. This he wrote to Prabhupada. The impure behavior of my previous life had cast its shadow on this life also. Means what was my tendency in previous life, it happened in this life also. He could see. Remembering this, my heart began to ache and burn with repentance. What was the way out for me? The solution had been given by Bhrigu Rishi himself. Also in that horoscope it was written what he has to do to be rescued from that offense. In the form of answer to a question to Shukracharya. So at the age of, after past the age of 24, there is some procedure. He had to repeat some mantra. So I wanted to read you this, why, to see why Prabhupada immediately accepted him, immediately told him you're right, and very quickly gave him sannyas. Why? Because already in past life he was elevated soul, ascetic, Vaishnava. I think he's sannyasi also. So that is why in this life very quickly he got. So after this, he made this atonement and he went to Himalaya. First he went to Vrindavan and there got one place by the grace of Radharani near Madan Mohan. And while they were constructing that his bhajan kutir, he went to Himalaya to visit these 4 dhams. His idea means that revelation was that he has to visit all the holy places up to Vrindavan, so that he would experience everything and then he could be stable in Vrindavan, not with any other desires or like this, like Gopakumar. So he went, and there he got so many experiences, and with great austerity he was doing that, and also as an atonement for offense, like to his Gurudev, and he prayed to him for his grace to forgive, and he requested him, you kindly please let me know, either in dream or through the mouth of some other sadhu, or anyhow you please let me know. So during this pilgrimage for 2 months, with great austerity, he got many times dream of Prabhupada, and he was encouraging him and like this. So he resolved that, and that mantra he was chanting. For 50,000 times he had to chant one mantra, as Bhrigu Muni told. So in this way he did. There is a whole book, he's on the way to Vaikuntha, what he experienced there. It is an amazing book. Then when he finished, then he came to Vrindavan and was doing bhajan. First 4 years in a cave, which is still there, not cave, but hole, like on the ground he made. For 4 years, he would not see any person, not speak to anyone, whole day chanting, only eating once in a day, and whole day chanting for 4 years continuously. Himself cooking, what that one sevak brought, kept outside. Then Bon Maharaj used to cook himself one time, and the rest all time, little resting, and otherwise all the time chanting. Then after 4 years, he came out, and then he started to preach. And he made one university and one school there in Vrindavan. Then in later also he became Acharya of Chaitanya Mata in Mayapur for some years. Then he disappeared in Vrindavan. Also in between he went for one more time to Europe, and also he went to America and Japan, like this, preaching. So I heard from Srila Gopananda Bon Maharaj, he was his sevak. Yes, one time also it happened in his bhajan kutir in Vrindavan. That is the place where Radharani goes to that meeting place where she will meet Krishna. That is her pathway. So once in the garden, Srila Bon Maharaj was picking flowers for the deities from his trees. And suddenly he got a touch of Radharani and was shivering. And Krishna also appeared. Then Krishna called, I heard directly from Gopananda Bon Maharaj. Krishna did not say Bon Maharaj, but Krishna said to Radharani, she is my Lotika Manjari. You accept her as your servant. That revelation he got there means his eternal name is Latika Manjari. Krishna himself made this arrangement, how he realized this in his own ashram there. And so many miracles also there, and so many books and kirtan. So Gopananda Bon Maharaj was cooking for him, and he told me Bon Maharaj was an expert cook, as mentioned here, and he disappeared also. He told in advance, after 1 month, on this day, at that hour, I will disappear. And really it happened. So they are not ordinary persons. So it is Sunday, so at least you please hear some his. I found his Harikatha on today's day, on his Vyasa Puja day, when he was there. So I want to play you something so you can hear his voice. I will translate in between.
Hej!
Sorry,
Ali misliš, da bi lahko 28 dni od danes
on YouTube.
Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinda. যে গুরুদেবের প্রসন্নতাতে ভগবান প্রসন্ন হন,
if Gurudev is pleased, then Supreme Lord will be pleased.
এবং যে গুরু অপ্রসন্ন হলে জীবনে কোনো গতি সম্ভব নয়।
And if Guru becomes displeased, then Jiva cannot attain anything.
সেই গুরুদেবের গুণগান করাই জীবনের প্রধানতম কৃত্য।
It is the prime duty of Jiva to sing the glories of Gurudev, such Gurudev.
এইভাবে শ্রীলা বিশ্বনাথ চক্রবর্তী পাদ পূর্বাষ্টক পেতে গুরুর বন্দনা করেছেন।
In this way, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glorified his Gurudev in Guru Ashtaka, you know, Yasya Prasada, Bhagavat Prasada, Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi. This he's telling.
আজকে এই সভাতে ভক্তগণ আমার সম্বন্ধে সব প্রতিবাক্য করেছেন।
Today, in this assembly, the devotees, they, in relation to me, they sang some glories. One second, I want to hear again. 1 second.
ভক্তগণ আমার সম্বন্ধে সব প্রতিবাক্য করেছেন।
Yes, they were singing my glories, Stuti Bhakya Koran, in this assembly. Devotees, they were doing.
আর বসে বসে নিজের প্রশংসা শোনা এ সাধুর ধর্ম নয়।
To hear this and be pleased, it is not the dharma, the nature of sadhu. To hear his, to be pleased, means to take pleasure in hearing his own glorification. That is not the nature of sadhu.
সাধুর কৃত্য নয়।
It is not the activity of sadhu.
তবে কেন বসেছিলেন বা আমি কেন
So why I came to sit here?
আছি আর ভক্তগণ যে গুরুর তত্ত্ব এবং গুরুর মহিমার কথা কীর্তন করেছেন সেই সমস্ত গুণাবলী,
Because all these devotees, they were singing the qualities of Gurudev, Guru Tattva. They were singing glories.
জগৎগুরু ছিল ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী গোস্বামী প্রভুপাদের পাদপদ্মে অর্পিত হয়েছে।
All this glorification I offered to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur.
আমি তার সেবক সূত্রিতে,
I am his servant.
তার মহিমার কথা ভক্তগণের মুখে শুনে
I heard his glories from the mouth of these devotees. They were singing for Bon Maharaj, but he said, I heard the glories of my Gurudev. They were singing because I offered everything to him. I am his servant. So I was actually hearing his glories. For that reason, I came to sit here.
নিজের চিত্তকে শুদ্ধ করেছি।
To purify my own heart, I came here.
এখানে বসে
I am sitting here.
নিজের চিত্ত শুদ্ধির জন্যই গুরুর মহিমা শ্রবণ,
For the sake of purifying my heart, I came to listen the glories of Guru.
ভক্তগণের গুণগান শ্রবণ করা সাধনার মহাশক্তি।
To hear these glories from devotees, that is very powerful sadhana.
এই সাধনা শক্তি লাভ করবার জন্যই গুরু গৌরাঙ্গ ভক্তির মহিমা কীর্তন এবং শ্রবণ করা সাধন জীবনের এক মহৌষধি।
It will, this Shravan and Kirtan of this will purify us.
এই জন্যে আমি ব্যক্তিগতভাবে একজন গুরু এবং আমার যারা নিজদিগকে শিষ্য বলে পরিচয় দিয়ে তারা গুরুর গুণানুবাদ কীর্তন করেছেন, সেই গুরু তত্ত্বত বর্তমান যুগেতে শ্রীল ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী গোস্বামী প্রভুপাদ ব্যতি রেখে
He is actually Guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
আর বাকি সকলেই ন্যূন। তিনি বস্তুত বর্তমান কালেতে।
Then further, I was hearing, not till the end yet, then he started to explain the glories of Prabhupada. And he also mentioned this point, we should not think we can independently preach. Even in English, he spoke some words, and he was explaining about the glories of Prabhupada, how he was ordered by Mahaprabhu to preach, to refute all those apasampradayas which were happening, and all people, they were disgusted with them. This point he was speaking. So just I will little forward where he's speaking more loudly.
এই জগতে যেমন তুচ্ছ রূপে তার পরিচয় যায়, ভগবত রাজ্য ভগবত প্রেম কল্পনা করে বলে গপ্প করে আমি কৃষ্ণ প্রেমিক বলে ধেই ধেই করে নাচলেই কৃষ্ণ প্রেমা হয় না। হরে কৃষ্ণ বলতেই মাটিতে গড়িয়ে পড়লে তার অষ্টসাত্ত্বিক বিকার হয় না। হরে কৃষ্ণ বলতে খোলে তালি না দিতে দিতে চোখে ঝরঝর করে হা করে চেঁচিয়ে উঠলাম, এই বলে ভক্তির পরিচয় তার ভিতরে পাওয়া যায় না। ভক্তির স্বরূপ লক্ষণ কি, তাই অপরদিকে যা স্থায়ী যে স্থাপন করেছেন।
He was explaining that point, that many people, they are saying, I have prem, but Prabhupada showed, no, there are some symptoms of one who has prem, and there is also a procedure, gradual procedure how to get that prem, means Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, all that point he was explaining, not just saying Hare Krishna and I have prem and some tears faking like this, it cannot happen.
সেইটি তিনি করেছিলেন। তারই মহিমা আজ বিশ্বময়, শুধু বিশ্বময় শব্দের না, বাস্তবতাতে পৃথিবীর এমন কোন দেশ এখনো নাই যেখানে শ্রী সরস্বতী গোস্বামী প্রভুপাদের বাণী তারই শক্তিতে, তারই ঝাঁটার এক একটি শলাকা রূপে তার শিষ্যবর্গ দ্বারা তিনি।
Today there is no such place in the world where they don't know the glory of Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada, because Prabhupada, he infused that power into his own disciples and was preaching everywhere in the world. He is actual preacher. He did this. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
তাদের নিজ নিজ গুরুর মহিমা কীর্তন করেন, সেই মহিমার মূলেতে হচ্ছেন শ্রীল সরস্বতী গোস্বামী প্রভুপাদ। তাই জন্য
you are all like grandchildren, means grand disciples, and you are singing his glories today. He told many nice he spoke. So today is his appearance day. And his glories are unlimited. There is short time. Already I took more time. But there are a lot of astonishing things in his life. I heard from Gopananda Bon Maharaj. And so I'm remembering his Samadhi Mandir there in Vrindavan, Bhajan Kutir, just beside his deities, Radha Govinda, that Samadhi Mandir, there is a deity on a lotus flower. So I'm bowing down to Srila Bhakti Hridoy Bongusai Maharaj and praying for his causeless mercy. Also, I heard from Gopananda Bon Maharaj, whenever our Gurudev saw Srila Bongusai Maharaj, like in Vrindavan on some street or somewhere, when he saw, he used to give full dandavat, and then on the street, wherever he was, our Gurudev used to do 4 times parikrama around Srila Bhakti Hridoy Bongusai Maharaj. Like as a disciple of Prabhupada, as my Shiksha Guru, he used to do parikrama around. Such a respect Gurudev had. So tomorrow we will start with summary of Ramayana, so that we will come to read all till Ram Navami. Tomorrow we'll start. Very good.